Hello, everyone. We are live 3 days before Christmas. The Oscars shortlists came out yesterday, and we are here to talk about everything that happened. Nothing, I think, too insane, but there's a little interesting choices sprinkled in there. So before we get into it, Anthony, how are you feeling about all
Feeling
of this?
good. As I said, it's our Christmas special. We're very happy, our holiday special. But yeah, I think that the tea leaves that we can follow based on these short lists are very interesting. I
Mhm.
think they're first off, we'll talk about there were some surprising omissions, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that they will start to give us the shape of the season, and especially the narratives that we can expect from some of these movies that we've been saying this entire year are very unconventional, are very just very original. But now we're starting to see the award season paths that they're taking, and so that's what I think I'm excited to talk about the most today.
hmm I agree. I agree. Hello to everyone in the chats. We'll get to that. We'll get to score. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Um, and poor things in an hour. This stream will probably only be about an hour. So hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoy. Long time coming. So let's get into it and let's pull up these shortlists that came out yesterday. Here they are. The 96th Academy Awards shortlists. Okay, let's start off with a category that I still am not super confident in predicting anything about, but our final list for documentary feature: American Symphony, Apollonia Apollonia, Beyond Utopia, Bobby Wine, The People's President, Desperate Souls, Dark City and the Legend of the Midnight Cowboy, Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, Going to Mars, The Nikki Giovanni Project, In the Rearview, Stand from the Beginning, Still a Michael J. Fox Movie, A Still Small Voice, 32 Sounds, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. Anthony, if I had to predict five here, and I'm going to make you do the same as well. I would say American Symphony,
Mm-hmm.
Beyond Utopia, 20
Mm-hmm.
Days in Mariupol.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd say Four Daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do a little different thing. I'll do Stamped from the Beginning as my fifth one. I imagine you might do Still.
I'm actually going Eternal Memory, frankly,
Ooh,
just
okay.
because I think that they tend not to go with the documentaries that act as biographies. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody thought the Roger Ebert documentary was going to make it in. It does not. Everybody thought Want You to Be
Yeah.
My Neighbor was going to make it in. It does not. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think, despite the fact that Still might have the better pedigree than what I'm picking, which is the Eternal Memory, I feel that Still, like, I just think that when it comes down to voting for the Oscar, there might be a difference of opinion. I think that this branch tends to go for those more underseen picks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually bet you that the documentary branch might watch more of the movies that they have to watch more than other branches. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's what you often see. What we think the front runners are because certain documentaries kind of get into the mainstream. That's not necessarily where the branch is leaning. I mean, you could even look at somebody like Frederick Wiseman, who's this accomplished documentarian. They've never I don't think they've ever nominated one of his films despite winning an honorary Oscar. So, I don't think names necessarily gets you in. Despite that, I do have John Baptiste in his Netflix documentary American Symphony leading, just because I think it has the potential to be in other categories, specifically best
Yeah.
original song. So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think we agree on the four. I'm just putting in the Eternal Memory. I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if Still got in because it definitely has a bigger platform than some of these others, but that might work
Mm-hmm.
against it. I think.
Yeah, I think Still will probably be the supposed big snub because it's been winning most of the documentary awards, and usually our front runner gets snubbed. So, I
Who
would
loves
agree. I have American. I think it's going to happen again this year. So, but I agree. I think Black Toad agrees as well. I think American Symphony is probably the current not the current front runner because it hasn't won the most, but I think it probably will end up winning it. And Going to Mars, I that's possible. I wouldn't have it in my five right now, but I agree to keep an eye on it. Hello, Ian. Pretty similar list overall. He also has Going to Mars. Okay, gotta keep an eye on that one. But finally, getting some of an idea of this race, we can finally maybe start doing predictions on it because it's hard to predict far out. But now that there's a short list, it's much more condensed. So
And
much easier for that one.
thank you, Joaquin, for the lovely Christmas shout out. We hope you have a good
Yes,
holiday.
yes, thank you. We hope you do as well. Yes, a few days away. It's crazy. Time flies.
Time flies.
Documentary short film. I think that's one we can save for much later in the season.
When people beside people voting have seen the movie.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the people voting see it, but yeah, we'll see. International film. We have Americazzi, The Monk and the Gun, The Promised Land, Fallen Leaves, The Taste of Things, The Teacher's Lounge, Godland, Al Capitano, Perfect Days, Totem, The Mother of All Lies, Society of Snow, Four Daughters, 20 Days in Miracle, and The Zone of Interest. I think the big miss here was About Dry Grasses, also no Concrete Utopia, Peasants, Settlers, or Shida. I feel pretty good about my 5 here, which would be, I think, Zone of Interest. Then I would have Society of the Snow, I think, as the number 2. Then I'd say Perfect Days. Then I'd say Fallen Leaves. And my last spot, I would say Totem. I think Totem is doing pretty well. I think that'd be my 5.
Yeah, we agree again on 4. I think Totem's a great pick. It's definitely one that I think is rising in awareness. I do think that Juliette Binoche is somebody to
a draw
for and a draw, and that's why I think Taste of Things could do very well. I also think that E.O. Capitano was the Golden Globe nominee, so that I think gave it a little boost. And then 20 Days of Miracle, because it also has the potential to be a double nominee, is also I think a contender here. We saw with Flea.
Same with Four Daughters, yeah.
Four Daughters as well. We saw with Flea how it pulled off the best animated feature, documentary, and international nominations. Like it sometimes works in your favor to be in multiple categories because people see it as more of an achievement. So I think that could help it. I think right now, I'm just going to go with the safe money. And I think a lot of times, especially in the short categories and in some of the categories where you're not expecting to see stars, when you do see stars, that boosts the platform. It means it's easier to campaign. And I think there's been a lot of great buzz on Taste of Things. And I mean, Juliette Binoche, Oscar winner. I think that helps. So I'm going to go with Taste of Things. However, I think Totem is a really interesting pick, and I could definitely see it going that way. But I think we both agree, though, that Zone of Interest is handedly winning this. The only situation I could see where it loses is that if it doesn't get in for Best Picture and Side of the Snow really starts to overperform once it hits Netflix, you could see that switch. But I doubt that's going to happen. I think Zone of Interest is coming into the mainstream when it comes to the awards bodies and the awards voters. And the more I sit with it, the more I think I'm starting to really get on its wavelength. I'm looking forward to a second viewing. Because it's a film that I think wants to unnerve you, and it really it kind of like grasps onto you like a parasite, and you just you're constantly ruminating on the film. So I suspect that'll be an easy win for that film. But I do think there's a lot of love for Society of the Snow, and J.A. Bayona, of course, is probably on the same level as Jonathan Glazer as far as being well known beyond this category's branch. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I am excited to see Perfect Days, though.
I hear amazing things.
Yes,
I don't know the release plan. I need to see it soon. I don't know how I'm going to, though. So we'll see. I think Totem is very possible, and I just think the Taste of Things is it hasn't done super well so far nomination wise. So I think it could be. Usually there's like one kind of predicted thing that ends up not working out in international. So I think that could be Taste of Things, but it also easily could be something else. Yeah. So
I do think it was brought up with this category when the shortlist came out. I think it's worth mentioning that we are seeing a lot of European films. Yeah. I think that's also that could help Society of the Snow. I think that could help. Totem, definitely. I'm also interested to see if Taraji P. Henson's recent comments about the page disparity in her career, I'm wondering if that could help her as far as the Best Supporting Actress race. You always wonder if controversy ends up turning people off from the movie or gets them motivated to feel like, oh, we don't want to mess up. Is it, is it a Three Billboards where I think a lot of the controversy around that movie started to like take it out of contention for Best Picture and Best Director? Mark McDonagh didn't even get nominated. Or is it Green Book, where like the controversy only makes people want to vote for it more? Bohemian Rhapsody the same way. So I'm interested. Again, that could help Society of the Snow, could help Totem, but I do think regardless, it's I still like the fact that no Bollywood movies ever get in here is, I think, a little bit of an oversight. It's
Yeah.
I think that this is a smaller category. I think that changing the name from foreign language to international was a step in the right direction. But there's still more revision that can be done with this category.
Oh, I think this category needs a whole overhaul. I think you should not limit it to one film per country, and I think there's a lot of politics going on with what films countries pick.
However, I do think that what that rule may be allowing,
it may help the
is
other
that
countries more.
Well, it might mean that more European films end up getting in this convention. It might be shoving all of the non-European films out if we didn't do. So that's why I think that like they have their heart in the right place, because I understand the idea that you don't want to have like 4 films from France get nominated. But there needs to be some listen, there's always going to need to be an overhaul to the voting system. It's an imperfect system. But I hope that we can maybe, I think, listen, we saw what Oscars So White, that was on the mind for a couple of years. And I think since then we've seen a change in the films and the performances being nominated. We're also seeing it when it comes to women. We've talked about it much this season, how the Best Picture lineup has more female leads than we're probably ever going to have seen. So it does prove that if we keep this conversation, if we keep conversing, it can hopefully change things for the better.
Yes. Another controversy thing, I think that definitely hurt James Franco that year. So I think it depends on the situation and the awareness of the situation. I think I don't know how aware people are going to be of that Taraji P. Henson interview, but as we saw with the Actors Branch last year with Andrew Riseborough, you just need a little bit of passion to.
I saw it twice. It was 2 separate interviews, so I think if she keeps it going, it could.
Yeah.
I think what she's saying is completely. I mean, I think he was definitely deserving of a nomination the year of Hidden Figures. I think if you haven't seen, she was talking about how she, after Empire, she fired her entire team because she wasn't seeing the she hasn't gotten a pay raise since then, since Hidden Figures, I think she said. And so like the math ain't mathin' was her quote. And it was a very, I think she saw that she felt like she wasn't actually making an impact for people coming up like Halle Bailey and Fantasia and Daniel Brooks. So, and she was feeling regretful about that. It's a very touching interview. And I hope
it is,
people who need to be listening are listening to her, especially because she gave such a great performance in The Color Purple.
Yes, and thank you, Oprah. We appreciate it. They should make an Oscar. We'll win. We'll see. Is makeup and hairstyling next? No. Oh, it is. Speaking of hairstyling, nice transition there. This is, I think, the wackiest category of the shortlists. So our nominees here are shortlisted ones: Beau is Afraid, Ferrari.
Ferrara's not here.
No, she's not. She's not. Yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon, Last Voyage of the Demeter, Maestro, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Society of the Snow. Obviously, the big miss here, Barbie. I think even bigger, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I thought that was like a lock for a nomination because of how many. It was the film with the most prosthetics ever used, and it's good makeup. It was very showy. Like if Suicide Squad can win this category, I don't know how Guardians of the Galaxy 3 can't get nominated.
I think you're seeing the anti-superhero movement.
Possibly.
I think I think Spider-Man is in a class by itself, but I really think that we're starting to see, because again, as you said, it's not like Guardians was shoddy work. This isn't,
very good.
It's different from like when visual effects happen, and despite me enjoying Spider-Man No Way Home, like the visual effects for that and Shang-Chi both getting in, like we're that's long gone. We're not in that day anymore where they just get in based on their popularity, I feel.
Yeah. Well, Utaka, you'll be crazy when you hear that. I think Last Voyage of the Demeter is in my predicted 5 right now. This is hard to make a predicted 5 for. So I think easily you have Maestro in there and probably winning. I think you'd have Poor Things in there.
It's an easy 3. We can Oppenheimer.
Yeah, and then Oppenheimer
are definitely.
Yeah, those 3 are pretty safe. Then I went with I haven't seen it, but I've heard in Society of the Snow there's like some good gore makeup. So I thought maybe that, because it seems like that film did pretty well on the short lists. And then I did say, I watched a behind-the-scenes makeup video on Last Voyage of the Demeter, however you say it. It's pretty showy. It's pretty decent work. And I just don't see, and there are some Oscar nominated, it's not Oscar winners. The makeup people who did the House of Gucci stuff did the Last Voyage of the Demeter stuff, I believe. So I guess I'd go with that. I just don't know I don't think Golda, even though it's showy makeup, is going to get in. Killers of the Flower Moon, there's not anything besides like Leo's teeth that would be that showy. I don't know.
Well, here's
What
the
would you
thing.
have?
Do you remember what was nominated for Best Costume Design in 2019?
2019. No, is it like a Fantastic Beasts movie or something?
No,
No,
no.
that was like
Don't get me
that was-
started. I still, to this day, cannot believe that the Harry Potter franchise has won one Oscar, and it was for
Oh,
Fantastic
Irishman.
Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Irishman.
So Irishman was nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Joker was nominated. Jojo Rabbit was nominated. Little Women won, and there were, I think, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was nominated. That was your 5. The films that did not get in: Dolomite Is My Name and Rocketman. So I think sometimes, and again,
Different branch though.
It's a different branch. I understand, and you've watched this video
Behind the scenes
for you.
makeup.
I don't know if
4-minute video
will.
did not have a lot of views. No.
But I think often when you're struggling, you go with the movies that you think people are actually going to see in different places, that it's going to be the talk of the town in other regards. And so I definitely think there's a top 3: Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. And then I'm going to go with the 2 movies that I think I can see logistically getting nominations elsewhere, and that's Killers of the Flower Moon and Society of the Snow. In the same way that really Joker, and I love Joker, really had one costume that was it was getting nominated for, and it was just because they loved the movie and they were just checking it off. I think that's what's going to happen with Killers of the Flower Moon, and I do think Society of the Snow, from what I've heard, it will get some push. And frankly, just looking at the competition here, I just think that it just makes sense, especially because what we're hearing from that movie is that it's makeup focused and not hair focused, which I think is why Barbie didn't get in, because Barbie was definitely getting in on the
care about hairstyling,
and it, frankly, I feel like it should have. I think, I mean, honestly, I would have maybe even put in Little Mermaid here, because her hair, I think it was like thousands of dollars her wig, and like they just seem to not care about the hairstyling. It's like it should be best makeup featuring hairstyling. Is obviously what this category should be. So yeah, I'm going to go with Killers and Society of the Snow. That's going to be my 4 and 5 for now.
Okay. Once again, same 4, different 5. But yeah, some people apparently think Golda and Beau's Afraid would be an inspired nomination.
I love
just like to see that
putting these 1 nominations in every place. It would be the first, if Beau's Afraid could get into this category, it'd be the first Ari Aster film to be nominated for an Oscar. Which I would not mind, but I would be surprised with Golda, just because we already have Maestro, and I feel like despite whatever you feel about the controversy about the makeup around Maestro, I just would feel weird that there would be 2 films that were doing the same thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe they do it. Again, it's noticeable if you look at a picture of Helen Mirren, you're like, that's makeup, and then maybe it gets in. But I also think there have been obvious choices that don't get in because the movies just aren't big enough. I do think you're betting on something. I usually bet with what people have seen than going for these little scene like movies that, oh, that was a movie. Like I don't think that helps.
No, I don't think it does at all. And I think going against Last Voyage of Demeter is they don't really do horror or gory stuff very often in this category. I mean, you talk a horror fan. There's some great horror makeup that would talk to me. I think I had some of the best makeup of the year, and not even shortlisted. So they usually don't go for the horror, unfortunately. But yeah, I think pretty similar lineup there. And yeah, I don't know what the makeup is in Killers.
I think it's Leo.
Besides like the tribal makeup and the teeth, Leo's teeth. I guess.
Again, you see Killers of the Flower Moon, it just seems like, all right, well then we'll go for it.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see.
It will not be appearing on our nominations.
No. Nope. Guardians of the Galaxy will. I'll say that. I think that's not spoiler alert, a deserving winner, but we'll get to that another time. Original score. We got, I think, 15 here. American Fiction, American Symphony, Barbie, The Boy and the Heron, The Color Purple, Elemental, Holdovers, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Saltburn, Society of the Snow, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Zone of Interest. Big snubs here. Past Lives, I think, was the one that hurt the most.
Yeah.
Also, Asteroid City, and then our double Reznor and Ross, The Killer, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Neither of them. I would have liked to see Ninja Turtles at least make the shortlist. That was a good score. No Past Lives is unfortunate, but I didn't think that was going to make it at the Oscars anyway. So I think it's pretty. I
So let me
think
ask you
you're.
this: which
Yes, go
animated
ahead.
movie do you have in there?
I have Spider-Man, but I
Okay.
think it could be. I think you could get two in. Honestly, I think you could get Boy in the Heron and Spider-Man, but I
I
don't
think
know.
it's definitely possible that they both get in. I also agree that Spider-Man, I just think, is the more likely contender in both this and animated feature at this point.
Hmm.
I just think it helps that there just seems to be a lot of respect for this movie artistically,
Yeah.
and that it does help that I do think it's. I am not alone in saying I think there's a lot of people. I might even go as far to say it's the consensus that they prefer this one to the original. Maybe is that a hot take? I don't know. Um,
Maybe
it's in the conver I think it's like
I
Toy Story.
don't.
If you said Toy Story 2 was better
You
than Toy
wouldn't.
Story
Yeah.
1, you're not going to get a bunch
Which
of
it
people
is.
going crazy.
Yeah.
Some people think that. So I'm going to go with Spider-Man joining our clear top 3, which is Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Killers of the Flower Moon. And then number
Hmm.
5, I think just because it has the biggest presence, and once you see it, I think you will say, even for its limited appearance, Zone of Interest. I'm going to put in number 5. I think it's very easy for John Williams to step into this category. I
Yeah.
think it's very possible. But as we've also said before, there doesn't seem to be the same level of reverence for Williams within Indiana Jones that there is with him for Star Wars. He was not
Hmm.
nominated for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's one of the few
Nope.
times that he wasn't nominated in this later stretch of his career. Um, but I also think that we're under a different banner with Disney Lucasfilm, it seems, because they've never missed a they've made 5 movies at this point, and all
Hmm.
5 of them have been Oscar nominated. Um,
Yep.
and I guess currently I'm predicting that this is going to be their first miss. But
Interesting.
I would never doubt them because I think there is always going to be some level of respect for their craft compared to other blockbusters, other innocuous blockbusters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you can never count them out. But I'm going to put Zone of Interest, frankly, because the movie starts with about 10 minutes of black, just like nothing's on the screen, and you're just hearing
Hmm.
music. And I think when you're going through the list and you're looking for that number 5, I think Zone of Interest will stick out the most because you'll remember that opening. And I mean, Mika Levy, she's already gotten in at the
Yeah.
Golden Globes, I believe. Did she get in a Critics' Choice? I believe,
I
maybe.
don't think they liked Zone that much, so I don't think
That's
so.
true.
They didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I was expecting the Critics' Choice to be the Critics'
Yeah.
Choice. They turned it into
Hmm.
Golden Globes.
Yeah.
But still, I'm going to go with Mika Levy because I also think Zone of Interest is growing its strength.
How
Um,
much a score is there? Because I've heard that it doesn't take. It's not a lot of the runtime.
It's not a lot, but again, I think it makes the most impact. You'll feel the
Okay.
score. Again, I think when you're looking at this list, like another John, like it's the one that I think is like Spider-Verse is actually daring. It's doing new things. And you're going to hear music in a way in that film that you haven't heard in other movies, especially this year. So I'm going to go. I also think just because it is rising, I think Zone of Interest is doing very well. I think once it fully opens, I just have a feeling I'm gonna go with what I think is a potential best picture contender over what I think is
Hmm.
the runner up in animated feature or
Yeah.
the 5th choice in visual effects, if that. That's
Hmm.
just my
Yeah.
thought process. That's where
Hmm.
we're at in this season. You got to go with what you think is actually having a presence. So Zone of
Yeah.
Interest is my 5.
I have the same 4, and then in that 5th spot, I'm between those two you mentioned. I'm between Zone of Interest and John Williams. It's whether or not John Williams, Indiana Jones. Um, it's whether or not I want to choose to be cynical. Uh, and I guess today I won't choose cynicism. I'll choose the Zone of Interest for now. And do you think the sound or the score is more of a standout in that movie?
The
Sound design,
score. I would
the
say the
score.
score.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think
Yeah,
again our
I'll have sound.
sound was very good. It
Hmm.
worked well with the movie, but the score was what I were like. Oh, this is interesting. This is doing something new. Um,
Yeah.
and I think again the only thing really that's making us think Indiana Jones really is the Grammy nomination.
Hmm.
The only other
And it's
interesting
John
one to
Williams.
go on, and it's John Williams. But like the people will point and say, "You got a Grammy nomination. That means something."
Hmm.
Um, but I do think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between the
Oh
Grammy
yeah,
and the Oscars.
different
Um,
people voting.
yeah.
So I would also like to see Boy in the Heron. That would be his first nomination, but I think it's possible. I think it's like in the top 7.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely possible, but right now I don't. Prince and Kath has it in his 5. Oppenheimer, Poor Things. I think that's a pretty clear top 3. And then Boy and the Heron and that is worth mentioning. Society of the Snow is Michael Giacchino. I haven't.
But he didn't get him for the Batman.
I know.
If he didn't get him for the Batman,
he wasn't even shortlisted for the Batman.
I
know.
know.
And at least he's shortlisted here. So I have seen people who've seen the film say that the score is a standout. So if Society of the Snow does like have a little bit of a tech overperformance, I would say it could. This is one of the categories it could get into. But I think anything else worth mentioning. Elemental is Thomas Newman, so never count him out. What else is there? Saltburn was interesting, but that doesn't have a chance.
I can't remember. Maybe just because Murder on the Dance Floor has completely taken over the musical identity of Saltburn for me, but I can't remember the score in Saltburn.
I don't really either.
When things happen at the end, there's a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's getting. I don't think that's getting.
No. I would say American Fiction.
Crazy. It's effed up in the comics, but the Batman did not get it.
The Batman snub is. We don't even want to talk about it. It deserved a nomination.
What was worse, that not getting shortlisted, or Denis Villeneuve not getting director for Dune Part 1?
Oh, Denis Villeneuve not getting director for Dune. I mean, Michael Giacchino can move on. That Denis Villeneuve not getting. Every other aspect of that film was nominated. I feel bad for.
I worry now with the March release, he'll be able to, maintain that through all of the season next year.
Yeah, I wish it was at least a summer release, because the summer is pretty vacant too. It makes sense as a summer or like a fall release. I don't really see it as a spring release personally. But I think if it's strong enough, Warner Brothers will have a little bit of a conundrum next year, because they got Dune, they got Joker 2, they got Furiosa, and they've got Mickey 17 Poe's next film. So I don't know what they're gonna prioritize, but.
Well, I think, listen, the biggest question mark is Joker Folie à Deux. We'll see how that performs. If that performs well.
The biggest Oscar release date.
Yeah, if that performs well, I think that probably becomes their priority, because it will be something that is original, like in a way that we've never seen before. And,
I think Mickey 17's the most original.
Yeah, but the idea of what that movie is attempting in conceit, like it'll be like Everything Everywhere. People will be like, "Oh my god, I've never seen a comic book musical. Like, what is this?" And it's the original was the most Oscar-nominated movie that year at 11. So it definitely has a pedigree if it delivers. And then Dune, from what I've heard, people are saying it's extraordinary. So I'm fingers crossed.
At least a huge tech contender, and that will make it into picture.
Yeah. So. But I worry about Furiosa, because I think I don't
think Furiosa will be.
Part of the joy of Mad Max Fury Road was that you've never seen anything like this, and I feel like Furiosa looks like what we saw with Mad Max Fury Road. So I think
maybe a little worse.
Off. That's the thing about Dune Part 2 that I think helps it more than Furiosa is, from what we know about the story, Dune Part 2 seems to be like a deeper, more thematically challenging chapter than the first one, where Furiosa looks like, I'm interested. I think it'll be hard to top the Charlize Theron like that's my real thing, is I just think it's going to be hard to get out of the shadow of Charlize Theron and what should have been an Oscar-winning performance. I said it.
At least nominated, yeah.
I mean, I love Brie Larson.
You put her in lead, right?
And I loved Brie Larson in Room, but Charlize would have been an easy win for me in that category.
Yeah. Bye, Joaquin. We'll see you. Have a good Christmas. We won't probably see any of you guys until Christmas. So happy holidays. Barbie getting in for score. That's the soundtrack. That's not a score, in my opinion, especially over past lives. So
Barbie misses makeup and hairstyling, but gets into
score. Doesn't make sense, as it doesn't oftentimes with the Oscars. And I would agree. I think Dune and Joker 2 are probably their biggest priorities. With Bong has never been like a huge Oscar guy until Parasite, so we'll have to see. Sometimes it's either like you have your moment and you don't. Or
to be fair, though, he really only could have really had one. Okay, actually, no. I think Parasite was really like the first time he really was able to be competitive. Okja was from Netflix in 2017, and that was before they became the machine they were with Roma a year later. That year, their priority was Mudbound, which got into SAG but did not get into Best Picture. Did get Rachel Morrison a Best Cinematography nomination, making her the first female DP to get in the category. So I think Okja, like, was not their priority, and they were not where they were a year later with Roma. And every other movie, the American distribution was the Weinstein Company, and he
Yeah,
was
that's true.
really again like to the point that Bong Joon-ho once told a story that he lied to Harvey Weinstein about a personal memory that he just concocted up in his head in order to keep a scene that Weinstein wanted cut. So I would say, like, if Snowpiercer had neon, or the neon of its day,
Maybe.
it could have been something. I mean, it had Chris Evans, it had, Tilda Swinton, it had famous stars. I think that it's possible that Mickey 17 does what you're saying, and it's like he's not everybody's taste all the time. But I also think that we've never really seen him. Again, Parasite with Neon was really the only time that there were actually real support behind a Bong Joon-ho awards campaign. So I'm interested to see Mickey 17.
I think
a more American cat like Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, Toni Collette, Stephen Yeun.
That will help.
Great cast, and I think we just need to get a better vibe for the film's vibes and tone and all of that before we can fully see.
That's next year. Talk about next year. We got to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's the
Some
long
early 2025 Oscar predictions coming out next week. No. Music original song. Okay. God, this is going to take a minute. It Never Went Away, American Symphony. Dear Alien Who Art in Heaven, Asteroid City, Dance Tonight, the 3 Barbie songs. Keep It Moving, The Color Purple, Superpower, The Color Purple, The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot.
Diane Warren.
Our two songs from Flora and Son. Meet Me in the, or that was a Florence. Catch Me Now, Can't Catch Me Now, Hunger Games. A Song for My People. I'm not gonna try and mispronounce the tribal word for it. From Killers of the Flower Moon. Quiet Eyes from Past Lives, Road to Freedom from Rustin, and Am I Dreaming from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So I think we've got our 2 Barbie songs. I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For? With What Was I Made For? Winning.
It's a shame, because if they didn't have that rule and you could have
there'd be 3 Barbie songs.
There would be 3 songs, and Dua Lipa would be an Oscar nominee. Unfortunately, that will not be the case.
Nope. Yeah, thankfully, big snubs, I guess. Snubs. No Peaches, which thankfully we won't see happen. Thank God, because that was doing well for some reason. So cut it off here. No other Diane Warren song. Gonna Be You for A.D. Brady. So I guess she can now completely focus on Flamin' Hot, the Cheetos movie song. Steal the Show from Elemental. No Wonka or Wish songs or Little Mermaid songs. So Disney had a bad day in terms of songs.
Disney had a bad day, though Halle Bailey did get on the short list with Keep It Movin' from The Color Purple. That's the one that she performs in the song, and I believe also has a co-writing credit. She would be nominated for the Oscar if that song was nominated. This Wish. Listen, I understand. Wish is not a great movie, really in the least. And that song is, nothing special. It's probably not. I like the Knowing What I Know Now song is probably my favorite song in that movie. But
I don't like any of them.
But it's still shocking that the Disney Thanksgiving animated musical release, the one that is supposed to celebrate Disney's centennial, did not get on the short list, let alone get the
short list.
If you had told us that a couple months ago, I think we would have been shocked. So that is just, I mean, I think it's like, I don't think it should just get a nomination just because it's a Disney song and it's part of that legacy. So, but it's definitely, that was one of the more shocking results of because it was getting in. That was the other thing. We thought it would not do well, but then I think it got in at both Golden Globes and Critics.
The Wish. I don't know about this. I know, interestingly, the animated film itself had gotten both of those categories. So I think the song probably did.
Which means that animated feature, it's out. Goodbye.
Oh no, it's not getting in. I feel pretty good about the 5 in animated feature. Spider-Man, Boy and the Heron, Nimona, Ninja Turtles, which maybe not. And what's the other one that I'm forgetting?
Oh my God, Spider-Verse, Nimona.
Oh, Elemental.
There you go. The one Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really like the 2 Barbie songs, yes, and Billie Eilish will win her second Oscar. I'm going to be very happy.
Yes, it's
but other than that, I have no clue. Like, I have my predicted 5, but I am not confident, and I could swap in another 5 very easily. I'm
confident in the 2 Barbie. That's it.
Yeah, I could swap in any combination. Let me put it this way. This is what I think it's down to, and you tell me if I'm forgetting anything. Keep It Moving from Color Purple, American Symphony, It Never Went Away,
Yep.
Rustin, Road to Freedom. This is the Lenny Kravitz
Mhm.
song. And I think if Coleman Domingo gets in for actor, which I'm not necessarily predicting, but I know it's a possibility, that could help because then Rustin,
It
because
could.
Rustin seems to be getting these two nominations: Best Actor
Yeah.
and Best Song.
It's not a single
Um,
nomination.
Flaming Hot, the Diane Warren song, The Killers of the Flower Moon song.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, and then I don't think Am I Dreaming? I know some people are predicting it. I don't think,
Maybe.
but I
I'd say
think
maybe.
those five, it's a comment. It's the bottom three are going to come from those five. And I don't know. I really don't want to predict Flaming Hot, but I feel like I am
It's
like
Diane Warren. You just can't doubt her.
I know.
But I don't even like, who knows about that movie? Like, did it had to have
about
gone.
Tell It Like a Woman.
I know. Yeah, that's true. More people probably know about Flamin' Hot than Tell It Like a Woman. So I would have that getting in. It would probably be my 5 right now. But yeah, I'd have the 2 Barbie songs, which would be, I don't think it will be Dance Tonight. It would be What Was I Made For? And I'm Just Ken. I'd probably have at third the Road to Freedom from Rustin song, just because these other songs are underperforming. That song's doing pretty well with precursors so far. I think we're pretty much done with song precursors. And they love this kind of song. They like, I forget what year it was, like 2020, 2021. They had like 4 of the 5 songs were all like social justice ones from like Trial of the Chicago 7, One Night in Miami.
God.
It was like a documentary song from Janelle Monáe.
Yeah. Stop. We need to move on.
Yeah. Judas and the Black Messiah, that's what won. Yeah. So they like that song. This is really the only one this year. So I think that's pretty strong.
My favorite type of song is because the song was fine, but just the idea that this is the title. It was from Marshall. It was nominated in 2017 for the 2018 ceremony. And it was called Stand Up for Something. And it was like, did you not know what you were standing up for? Is it that
for something
song? It's like, we're standing up for something. I don't know. Just write a song.
We'll figure it out.
We're fine.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that's likely. Where do you stand on American Symphony? Because I do think John Baptiste, Grammy winner, the movie's probably
possible.
Documentary. We saw with RBG, though was that a Diane Warren song?
It might have been.
I think, sometimes if you're in documentary, that helps you, especially if you're going to win documentary, which I think American Symphony will. It is a credit song, but I could see that doing well. Keep It Moving is not a credit song. It's one of the earlier songs in the movie. But I wonder if people can discern that. I think that's what hurts, because
is it good?
It's a good song. It's actually the one I'm listening to the most since the album came out. Yeah, RBG had the Diane Warren song. Okay.
Yeah, that was
It's the one I'm listening to the most, but I like Halle Bailey. But it's also the one that I think feels the most like a pop song and not like a musical theater song. So it's a good song, but I feel like it doesn't really stick. Like Let It Go stuck out from the rest of the Frozen soundtrack. And when you're in a musical that people know is from Broadway, I don't know if Keep It Moving is.
How is Superpower?
I don't.
What's Superpower?
I think Superpower.
Well, they've only got 2 options, I guess. So
Keep It Moving the end credit song. So I would put Keep It Moving higher, but I could see a world where it's Road to Freedom because it's hitting the precursors and it's Lenny Kravitz and he's respected. And then either It Never Went Away or Killers of the Flower Moon, and then you're right, Flaming Hot could take that last spot because it's Diane Warren. I could see that. Yeah. And then it's just a question of It Never Went Away or the song from Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's a world where Killers of the Flower Moon could get in. That could end up pushing it like into Oppenheimer territory.
Yeah, that'd be an overperformance. I forget that song, like what part of the movie it's during, so I'll have to re-listen to it. But I think it's definitely possible. I think right now I do the Barbie songs, Road to Freedom, Diane Warren, I guess, and Keep It Moving from Color Purple, I think would be my 5, but I really want to do It Never Went Away from American Symphony because, as Black Toad said, it also got into score. So I think that shows that even
there's strength in the music branch and there's respect for him in the same way that there seems to be respect for Diane Warren. I think that could help.
Not on the same level, but he's definitely respected. So I think that could, big Grammy winner. So I think that could
because this is the thing. Color Purple, Keep It Moving would have to do what Suddenly did for Les Mis, and that is a musical where everything else is not an original song, and that one stuck out. So I guess I'm going to have to see the campaign for Keep It Moving. If I see Halle Bailey go sing this song somewhere, if she goes to
She's only got
SNL,
one now.
you know, that could help. We'll see. I feel like it's one that could very easily miss, especially if what other people are predicting. I'm not necessarily predicting this, but I think if Color Purple underperforms, you could
I think
definitely
it
see
will.
one miss out.
Mhm.
So it's
We'll
tough.
see.
It's
It
tough.
is. I think this is also maybe worth throwing out there, but Missing the Globe, I think it did kind of hurt, but it's a good song. It would be my 5 out of these 15.
It's a good
So
song. It's a credit
that's
song.
part of the movie.
Um,
Yeah,
Stop.
it is. I'm sorry.
Viola
Listening to
Davis
that song
is in
over
this
to the
movie.
listening that
Viola
song over
Davis.
the credits.
Anytime Viola
was
Davis
my
on
highlight.
screen, that's part of that movie. And I like
Well,
Crystal
yeah,
Sector a lot. The women were
better
carrying.
performance in that than in Air.
But I don't. Just none of the Hunger Games songs have ever been nominated. There were 3 contenders.
I will say, this is the best one out of all of them. I think quality-wise. No offense, Taylor, but I think maybe actually. I know how to think about it. Safe and Sound's pretty good. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I like them all. I mean, listen, you got when like Coldplay couldn't get in and Lorde couldn't get in, especially I think the year that Lorde could have gotten in for Yellow Flicker Beat for Mockingjay Part 1. Like that was not a competitive year. So that's why it's like I don't think they look at the Hunger Games. I think unfortunately there, despite what our generation may feel about them, when it comes to Harry Potter and Hunger Games, they look at them as children franchises and they don't take them as seriously. I think as like a Lord of the Rings or something that is Dune. Yeah, but Dune, the tribe of the Bene Gesserit. That'd be fun.
Quite children friendly. Let's see. Yeah, Taylor Swift has never made it into original song. Interesting. I think she deserves at some point. I think she needs to make better original songs, though. Unfortunately, the ones she makes for movies are some of her not great work.
Movies. The songs are fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Beautiful Ghost from Cats was rough, but that whole movie was rough. But like, I don't know, like Carolina. The thing is that the songs are a reflection of your feelings on the movie. I feel like very rarely, except for Diane Warren, do the songs get in from movies that are like people don't like. Like even the Lenny Kravitz song, I think people like that sort of song, and there are people who like Rustin. It's just not being promoted that well, and people don't really care about them. Like there's not a lot of enthusiasm. But I feel like rarely will you be like, I love this song, but I don't care about the movie. That's how.
And there isn't a Taylor Swift Eras Tour song because there isn't an original one in there. That's all stuff that's been done before. And Josephine.
That would have been hilarious if she wrote an original song.
She should have. Then it would have been an Oscar-nominated film. I mean,
this is for. Well, I guess The Vault wouldn't count because she already wrote it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is another thing about this category that it bothered me when Come What May couldn't be nominated. It wasn't eligible because it was written for Romeo plus Juliet, not for Moulin Rouge, even though it debuted in Moulin Rouge. So it's fun little rules to all these categories.
It is. Josephine has a interesting question here. Nolan or Scorsese, who's most likely to Villeneuve? I don't think either of them really will, but I think Nolan is stronger, so I guess Scorsese. But I think they're both pretty.
They're both strong. They're both respected. I honestly, it's funny when I look back because it's like I wonder why Silence underperformed the way it did because it really doesn't make sense given the pedigree.
I don't think it had a good campaign around it. I think it flopped and they kind of gave up on it.
It just seems odd because when you look at it, it's like I feel like Scorsese is just guaranteed a nomination even more than. I mean, to be fair though, Spielberg got it in Fableman's and West Side Story back-to-back years. So, and he took one of the spots that could have gone to Denis Villeneuve. I don't think because I think what happened with Dune was that the spot that we thought was going to go to Villeneuve was when the directing branch really started to transform, and we really saw that because they went to Ryusuke Hamaguchi, and they really started leaning beyond the American, studios. I just think also it was a technical achievement, and I think it didn't help that everybody knew that there would be another chance to nominate him, and that he already had.
I think everyone thought he was safe too when doing the nominations. They're like, "Oh, he's going to get nominated. I'll do another passion pick."
Yeah. So, and I know Jack may disagree, But I do think the criticisms that were lobbed at Christopher Nolan earlier in his career, that he wasn't that emotional of a director, was probably fair to Denis Villeneuve. He got in for Arrival, but that really was the only film that's ever really had an above the line showing for him.
That's his most emotional film as well.
So I think that helps. Is that like Christopher Nolan? When you think about it, he wasn't nominated for directing for Inception, despite Inception getting in for Best Picture. I think that was for Inception was to Nolan what Dune was to Villeneuve. But I don't think it's happening this year.
No, I don't think so either. Let us move on to our next category. We will once again, any crazy names in here like there was last year? Not really. No, pretty normal stuff in there. Dead Cat. That's an interesting one. Okay. Oh yeah, worth mentioning that both Wes Anderson and Pedro Almodovar got into the live action short category. So I think they'll probably get in at the Oscars. If I were to guess,
I would put money on Wes Anderson because I think Netflix is usually
that also had a better reception.
Yeah, better reception.
Best sound. We've got 10 films here. We've got Barbie, Creator, Ferrari, The Killer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Zone of Interest, Mrs. Here, John Wick, Godzilla, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I think was the big one, as well as Society of the Snow.
Love that you skipped right past one of those movies.
Because that's never going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't think that's a notable miss. Look at the reviews. What is it at? Like 5%?
It's not at 5.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low.
I'll see it. I don't hate him.
Yeah. I don't hate him either. I don't think Oscar-wise that it ever had a chance at really anything.
No.
But I think our 5 here, Oppenheimer is our winner. I think Maestro, because it's like music-y, about music, is probably going to happen. I think Barbie, because no Color Purple here. I think Barbie is kind of musical-y, and they go for musicals in this category, so I do think Barbie will probably get in. And usually at least like 2 of these sound nominees get into editing, so I need to have at least one outside of Oppenheimer, because my other ones are going to be Napoleon and Zone of Interest as my last 2.
Yeah, so this is the one category where I think you can see movies potentially get one nomination for best sound, and I'm talking about The Killer, and I'm talking about Ferrari,
or Napoleon.
That's
I think Napoleon has the best shot of the 3.
I just don't want to live in a world where
but I think it's
Academy Award nominated.
I don't either, but I think it's the show. I haven't seen Ferrari.
Oh my god. So I agree with you on Oppenheimer, Maestro, Barbie, and Zone of Interest. And for those who may think Barbie has the musical component and it also has the action component. So I think it kind of has the 2 things that we kind of look for to do well in this category. And I think Zone of Interest kind of speaks to me like a Power of the Dog, like that shows that they really respect the movie, and it's this independent sound design.
And sound seems to be very important to that film. Yeah, so I think it'll.
I am going to go though with my 5th spot again, going with the proven trajectory. I'm going to go with Killers of the Flower Moon. I think we have action here, we have gunshots, we have the scene with the house being put on fire. I think Brendan Fraser's yell. There's a lot of very high key sound elements in the movie.
I don't know. I think that last one's a bit of a stretch. But Irishman didn't get in, and I think Irishman had all of that going for it as well.
That's true.
I think Napoleon is a little more sound baity, if you can be sound baity.
I would grant you the thing that took Irishman out was Star Wars. And there's no movie like that here. There's no like blockbuster that's only going to get in. I mean, Mission Impossible maybe, but I don't know. I don't.
Creator would get in before Mission Impossible, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the fact that there is no Star Wars, there is no like easy blockbuster to throw in. No, I think Spider-Man also got in here. No Way Home. Like, there's no movie like that. There's no Guardians. So I'm again. This seems like a year where they're gonna go with like there's going to be like 4 movies with 10 plus nominations, and so I think that's my read of the season. And until I see some of these other ones perform well and we hear they're doing well, then I'm going to go with Killers of the Flower Moon.
I just sound can sometimes be weird, and they can just throw some weird
Yeah.
stuff out there.
Which is
At
why I
least
said
one.
this could be the one place where like The Killer gets one nomination.
I think this will be the one place where Napoleon gets one nomination.
I'm interested to see how Ferrari does, because how it opens, how it does, that could help it.
Because it's the car racing movie. They like those racing sounds.
Vroom movies.
Vroom vroom. Ford v Ferrari, I think, won this category. So
yeah.
Up
against 1970. Well, Ford v Ferrari. That was the last year where it was split. So Ferrari won editing and.
They split. Yeah.
I would have been fascinated which one would have won if it was just one category, and it probably would have been Ford v Ferrari, but I'm not convinced.
That one editing, right?
That one editing.
So probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Napoleon's best shot is sound, so I think that's what I'll go for. But we'll see. We'll see.
The only thing that I think could still help Napoleon is that they still have to release the 4-hour director's cut, and that could rejuvenate interest in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder when that will happen. You would think during this awards season, but maybe not.
Oh, if they don't do it over the next couple of weeks when there's voting for the nominations for the Oscars, then what the hell are you doing?
I don't know. Yep. I don't know. That would be dumb. But visual effects, we've got 10 films here. Obviously, we already knew Oppenheimer was not going to be one of them. So we got Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon, Poor Things, Rebel Moon, Society of the Snow, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Notable misses. Dungeons and Dragons was in my 5, so that's a little disappointing.
I told you. I told you.
It made sense as like a weird pick, like a Free Guy picker or something, or Love and Monsters.
I don't know. Free Guy. 2021 was different. There were less of these movies.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, and obviously we already knew Oppenheimer wasn't going to be there.
And to be fair, Free Guy created an original world like that. It was like Ready Player One.
An original world.
It was
I'm
GTA.
Saying,
whatever it is. I'm not saying in conception, like the script level. I'm talking about like Ready Player One. Like the world itself was all visual effects. Dungeons and Dragons maybe was that, but it looked like they were filming in Castle. I don't know. I think we're moving away from that type of movie. I mean, I think
practical stuff.
When Ex Machina beat Force Awakens, that was the trend. And now, we saw 1917 win, and we saw First Man win. I don't think the over assault, on pixels is going to win and get nominated. I just don't see it happening. And that's what that movie seemed to me.
I think maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. Rebel Moon making it in is interesting. I mean, I'll have to see it, so we'll see. But I think our 5 here, I don't know who I'd have winning, so I don't take this order as like winning order, but I think
I have a bold pick for my winner.
I think I might agree with your bold pick, but I'd have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Creator, Poor Things, I think will make it in. I think Godzilla will make it in. And I'm going to stick with Indiana Jones. I think Lucasfilm, I mean, it's not bad visual effects. I mean, it's better visual effects than Free Guy. And there's
I don't know. Maybe it was the sound. I just couldn't get over that it didn't de-age his voice. It completely ruined that opening for me.
Yeah.
But I think Indiana Jones is very possible, and I debated with it. I went with I'm going high on Society of the Snow.
I was thinking about that too.
And I think because it's going to be from a different place that they're not expecting good visual effects to come from, and I think that will help it. I think it's Godzilla -1. Honestly, Godzilla -1 could win. If it gets in, it could win.
It's got the narrative.
A lot of respect. And when do we ever get narratives and best visual effects?
I know. Crazy.
And then the Creator, I do think, despite my feelings on the film, the scope of the visual effects and what
that also kind of has a little bit of a narrative too.
Yeah, and then Guardians Volume 3. Usually there is one Marvel movie, one MCU movie.
It's good visual effects.
The one that's going to be in, and it's good visual effects. But I'm going to put Poor Things as number 1. I think you go with the movie.
I agree.
That is
the best picture movie.
You go with the best picture, and I think Poor Things, no matter what is cinematography, what is just the production design, I think visually that looks the most interesting out of all of these. And if they don't want to go with Godzilla -1, or even the Creator, because they're just lesser seen movies, I think Poor Things could 1917 its way into this category and win, and that would be
Yeah.
really interesting.
I think the hurdle for Poor Things will be getting into the top 5, like, because they do like the visual effects bake off and they show their visual effects, like what they did. So I think if it can overcome like not having like, it's a very practical film. So I think a lot of it isn't like the visual effects that they consider like the digital visual effects. But if it can then make it into the top 5 where you have everyone voting on it and people can't like the visual effects voters in that branch, like make a difference between what's practical and what's digital, I think that maybe gets the chance to have a better shot at winning. So I think the hurdle is making it into the. I think it will make it into the final 5 because looking at these 10, it's not like it's a deeply competitive category.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see if that's one of the places it picks up support. It's going to be so interesting because I think Oppenheimer is going to have potentially 3 actors. Killers of the Flower Moon will have 3 actors. Poor Things will probably have 2 actors, and like where those, and then Barbie could have 2. I feel like we're drifting to 1 at this point.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting when you look at that top 4, and I think that is your top 4, and they're all like it's like visual effects in here, but now I have makeup and hair, and I have 2 original songs, and then it's a really interesting.
Who's going to be the leader? I wonder who the leader is going to be in nominations. I feel like they're probably Oppenheimer.
I think at this point it's either Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon. If Killers of the Flower Moon can do well in song and sound, then we're good. Because that's all it needs. Though I think it'd be a shame if the one place where Oppenheimer could be the nominee like winner.
Yeah.
But as we said before, that could help it because it could make it seem less obvious. And then if Killers of the Flower Moon, I actually think that maybe Christopher Nolan might be campaigning for best sound and best original song for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
If he can not be the most nominated
the overperformer, the front runner.
You don't want it to.
That does definitely help.
You don't want to peak.
Nope. I think if Barbie continues on the trajectory it has with like Critics' Choice and stuff, I think that might definitely hurt it as well.
And to the point we've mentioned in the past episodes, I do think Barbie's trajectory of being the La La Land of this season continues because La La Land also didn't get into makeup and hair. I don't think it got on the shortlist even. So I think that's consistent. It seems that that's the trajectory it's at. Barbie could, if Margot Robbie and America Ferrera got nominated, which are possible nominations, maybe Barbie with the 2 songs can
and sound and editing.
And if it gets score, oh my god, then it could.
God, I hope not, but yeah, it's possible.
I bet you this might be the most times a select number of films have gotten the most nominations. Like as far as the percentage goes, I do think
maybe
you're like that. Those
I think we'll have. I think they'll all 4 kind of like 2019 have double-digit nominations.
But even more, I think even more this year potentially. We'll see.
Maybe I don't know how because 14 is I think the highest, so I don't think anyone's going to get that high.
No, but I could see Oppenheimer. I could see Oppenheimer getting maybe like 12 or 13, and then maybe Killers getting like 12, Barbie getting 11. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
I hope they spread the level a little bit.
Zone of Interest could get 7. Can we just talk about that? That's crazy.
I don't think it will get all 7, but I feel pretty good about it in picture right now. And director. Then a few tech categories. And it is worth it.
Picture director, screenplay, international, sound, score, and cinematography.
Yeah, maybe I do. I think I do have it getting all of those. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty strong. And I would love to see Godzilla win this because it does have that little bit. Apparently, only costs like around 15 million. We'll see. Apparently, the director denied that, but
I wonder if that appeals to the visual effects branch. Like if they like seeing we saw it last year with Everything Everywhere. I think people really respected like the underground independent credibility. It's like, oh, you pulled this off.
It didn't make the visual effects shortlist though.
But I'm just like more so like that overall feeling of the movie and in editing. But you're right, did not get into visual effects, which I felt like would have been a shoo-in, at least for a nomination.
Yeah. You would think.
I know Avatar was winning, but still.
Yeah, not a lot of superhero movies, but I think that's because the superhero movies this year, most of them had bad visual effects. So there's that.
Flash got in.
Oh my god, I would. The Flash would be that's some of the worst visual effects I've ever seen.
I remember because I
Um,
saw it early. I was invited to see it, and I was just like,
mhm.
"This can't be done. Please tell me this isn't
It
done."
was done.
It was done.
Yeah, yeah. I think we both have zone of interest in Best Picture. I do think it is borderline though. I think it's like 9 or 10. So I think it
What's
could
your
win.
combo? What's your last two?
My final two, I've
Okay.
got Zone and May December right now.
I have Zone and Color Purple.
Okay, you're sticking with Color Purple. I probably have Color Purple at 12. I think Anatomy of a Fall is my 11.
Anatomy of a
We'll see.
Fall. I don't know. It's tough. May December could do well. I just think it could still be in there. I just think that Color Purple, once it opens, I think it could be a good box office performer.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's an important story. And I think
If it hits SAG and PGA, I'll definitely put it back in. I think PGA.
I think you can't deny the fact that it's potentially a front runner for an above the line Oscar. That helps.
Potentially, yes.
I think Daniel Brooks is still very, very likely. Especially if
that's really
it's too small, too quiet, which could be. I think her and Emily Blunt be similar in similar fields, and Daniel Brooks is like this wrecking ball.
Though I do think this year would be a nice year in having the quieter, more subtle performances beat the showy ones like Cillian Murphy over Cooper, Gladstone over Stone, Divine Joy Randolph over Brooks.
I'm starting to think Giamatti is a real contender.
Giamatti, I would love that. He's amazing in that movie. I think I still prefer Cillian the most out of all of them, but I would like to see Giamatti. And then supporting actor, they're all showy, so who knows?
Charles Melton, he's not showy. Your boy.
He has showy moments, I think. Like at the end when he's crying.
He doesn't even get like his one yelling scene gets kind of course corrected by Julianne Moore.
That's true. He's probably the least. De Niro's not that showy. They're probably the least showy.
But he's Robert De Niro, so
he's De Niro. Yeah. Being Robert De Niro is showy. And I think that is the end of the shortlists.
Can I ask you this? Because it seemed as if Wonka underperformed on these for both original song and visual effects. Do you think that affects its chances in costume design?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I have it in costume design, but I don't think that affects it too much. I think because they're separate branches. I mean, they go for totally different things sometimes. So I think it could still get in there. I think what would my costume design 5 be? I think it would be obviously Barbie and Poor Things. I think Killers probably gets in there. Killers of the Flower Moon. I think Color Purple can still get in there.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Wonka, you were pulling for Maestro.
I think maybe. Because that's Mark Bridges, who they respect in that category.
Listen, Wonka's doing pretty well. If it continues to overperform over the holiday corridor, it could, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But it would seem odd that but also Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them only had one nomination, right? And that won the category. So I guess you can get into costume design with only one nomination. Cruella only had one nomination, won the category. I'm not saying Wonka will win, but it just seems that they don't seem to have the same. You need to be in every category to be in our category.
No. And Wonka, Cruella seem maybe a little similar. In terms of the types of movies.
Kind of. Cruella felt so yes, they maybe conceptually on the page, on the screenplay are similar, but I think the designs of Cruella, I mean, that they could have been in a museum, in an art gallery. Jenny Beavan.
They were. And Priscilla should have gotten into makeup and hairstyling, or which I don't think it will get into costume design.
Didn't either, though. I don't think.
That's true.
So they don't seem to go in that direction as much as we may think they should.
Yeah. I hope it can get in, but I don't right now think it will.
I thought Priscilla did a great job, the same way that Bombshell did, as far as what Bombshell was doing, as far as Margot Robbie becoming more Fox News-esque throughout the movie with the makeup and the hair, and that told the story. I think Priscilla did the same thing. So that would be one that, even though I wasn't super high on the movie, that would be one that I would consider as far as.
I'd have it in my 5 because I love when makeup and hairstyling and costume design connect to the story and the character arcs and all that.
As they should, all the time.
They should. That's kind of their purpose. Yeah. And Tom Fish throwing out his best picture: Oppenheimer, Barbie, May December, Anatomy, Poor Things. I agree with that. I just have, instead of Anatomy, I have Zone of Interest. Is my difference. performance.
I will say though, there is the potential still. We thought it was strong. It looks strong.
Mhm.
There was still the potential that Past Lives maybe misses out because the score omission. I don't see song really getting in despite getting onto the short
Mm-mm.
list.
Yeah,
So
is it just picture and just a screenplay nomination is not very common.
yeah,
I know it
I
happened
could,
with Women Talking last year, but it's not very common.
yeah. And Women Talking
So,
was a late breaking movie with a big ensemble that showed up at SAG and had very successful producers behind it.
yeah.
A24, this is now not. I think there's a world where this is not their priority anymore. I think Zone of Interest might be
Well,
A24's priority
do you
just
think
because
they can get 2 into Best Picture? They've never done it before.
I think it's possible. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
as far as their campaigning, Zone of Interest could get into feasibly 7 categories, and Past
Mhm.
Lives really is going to cap out at what, 2? I don't see song
4?
happening, and I don't see the actors happening.
I don't think so either, but I think Greta Lee and Celine Song are at least in the top 10 of their categories. So I think maybe.
So it's tough. So I could see a world where maybe like May December takes the spot of Past Lives, and then you do have either Zone of Interest in Color Purple or Zone of Interest in Anatomy of the Fall. I still think that's
Mhm.
a potential.
Yeah.
I will float it out there. I was a little surprised it didn't get into score. It's a lovely score.
Mhm. Yeah. I would have thought if I had that in picture, I think I did have it in. No, I didn't. But
I had it in the score.
the Best Picture package for that one is a little iffy, but I guess
It'll be the smallest Best Picture package, I feel.
Mhm.
Which doesn't always
Yeah.
mean. I mean, Coda won with 2 other
Mhm.
nominations, so it doesn't always mean something. But
It's
I
all
do
about
think
where
Coda
your
was a
momentum
unique
is.
film.
It is. It is. What do you think Barbie's status at Globe and Critics Bit SAGs? I don't think it will do well at BAFTAs. I do think it will do well at SAG, though. I think it'll do pretty well at SAG.
Potentially. I think Oppenheimer and Color Purple might have one up on Barbie at SAG.
I think it's down to those 3 for ensemble in terms of what will win.
Yeah.
It'll be a trick. I don't know if Color Purple can win where it is right now. So I think it's probably either
Listen,
Barbie
I
or
would
Oppenheimer.
never predicted Hidden Figures was going to beat Moonlight.
That's true.
And I think that came down to the box office overperformance of Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
We got to see how Color Purple opens. It's, I think, doing very
I
well.
hope it does.
Quickly. It's doing what it needs to do. And I think we were also thrown, have the Golden Globes of yore had shown up
Yeah.
this year, instead of this
They would
new
have gotten it.
weird group, which I'm not opposed to, but had the old Golden Globes shown up, I don't think we would be as worried about the Color Purple, because then they would have probably went for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And we would have been in a different spot. So I still think let's wait for release. Let's see what happens. It could still falter, like Mary Poppins Returns faltered. I remember when people were predicting that for Best Picture. Opened, didn't do well. Aquaman did well. And then Mary Poppins fluttered away, and there went Emily Blunt's chance of getting an Oscar nomination. Yep. Hopefully this year that'll be changed.
Hopefully. I think also I'm looking forward to seeing it. Lots of people love the Iron Claw. But nice. I'll probably see it soonish. But I don't think it really has much of a chance. I think A24 has their priorities with Zone of Interest and Past Lives. And in terms of campaigning Zone of Interest, I don't know how much I think they should.
For the above the line, you got to campaign. You can't.
Yeah.
Maybe not for director. Maybe for director you can get on, because that's the international branch, and the other the people who like those type of films, they'll support it. You need to, I mean, just look at what happened with A24 in 2019. I think they thought that they could walk and chew gum, that they could do The Farewell and Uncut Gems, and they got neither in anywhere. You gotta pick. I think Netflix has been hurt too. Netflix just has more undeniable, like, prospects as far as like Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver, Laura Dern, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. Like, it helps.
They've got more money to spend too for campaigning, for sure.
You definitely need to campaign to get into picture. You cannot get into picture without campaigning. Even Coda campaigned.
Yeah, and Netflix, I think, recently has the best track record. Them and Warner Brothers of getting 2 films into Best Picture. So I feel pretty good about having Maestro and May December. I've seen some people say Maestro could be like Ma Rainey and just get the two lead and like makeup and stuff. But I don't think that'll
Look at the enthusiasm somebody like Spike Lee had for Bradley Cooper.
Mhm.
This is not going to
Yeah.
appeal to the younger demographic, except this younger demographic.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's going to appeal to the older demographic, and
It
I
will.
think there's a lot of respect for Cooper. I still wouldn't,
Mhm.
if Zone of Interest, let's say we're over predicting, I still don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Bradley Cooper does, like, okay, you put your big
Maybe.
boy pants on, you're now a director. You know, this isn't a directing
Maybe.
exercise like it was with A Star Is Born.
It is interesting. I think because he's considered more of an actor. How I mean, Greta Gerwig used to be an actor, but she's I think pretty safely in director.
She wasn't like, all due
She wasn't
respect,
Bradley
Ms.
Cooper.
Gerwig, I love you, but she was not a movie star. Like Bradley Cooper was a movie star, top billed actor.
Mhm.
Like what was Greta Gerwig's biggest credit before Lady Bird? 20th Century Women, Frances Ha.
Probably.
Like
Yeah.
this is the
Frances
same
Ha.
thing as Oscar nominee multiple times for acting,
Mhm.
leader of the most popular movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, The Hangover, Wedding Crashers. Like it's a different.
They're
level.
totally different levels. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Same thing with like Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
And yes, I do think Nolan
And Affleck
does
is
have,
where Bradley Cooper is.
yeah, yeah. Nolan does have some writing women character issues. So we'll have to see if he can win the screenplay category.
We've discussed
We've
this.
talked about that a little bit. I think it's a well-written movie. I just think he doesn't do justice to either of the.
I've
women
seen
leads.
American Fiction though now, so it is interesting.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have.
Do you think?
And
What do you think?
I think it is. It's a very interesting screenplay. As far it was very funny, but also it's not the comedy that I think the trailers are making it think it is. Like there's about 45 minutes before he finally like writes the book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They really get you into the family, and I think it could manage to get adapted screenplay if it is so determined that picture and director are going to Oppenheimer and they want to they want to spread the love. But also, I think I've heard more about the Oppenheimer screenplay as far as the writing in first person, and there's just so much about it that I do think that it would seem odd that it wouldn't be awarded. So we'll see.
Usually, Best Picture movies get screenplay most of the time. I know sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of times it does.
I'll try to look up the last time a movie won picture, director, and screenplay. I think that would be interesting as far as
that was last year.
Oh my god! Holy shit! You're right. So
yeah,
maybe
it's possible. It's possible.
Oh my god! And then Parasite did.
You wouldn't have to do much research for that.
What has this happened before?
Yeah, you're like, oh, just last year. Yeah. That's pretty much.
I'm so red.
Yeah, yeah. Technically, this year, earlier this year. Oh god. We're almost at the end of the year. I think we'll have our top 10 list soonish. I think we could have a standalone episode for that. I think there's just a few things. I don't know what you have left to see. I need to see Zone and American Fiction.
You got to see Color Purple too.
Oh, Color Purple, yeah. That's like in 2 days though. So
yeah, I want to. I mean, listen. There's always going to be one you miss out on, and you're it's always
like I'd love to see Perfect Days, but.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like I saw the Beatles Get Back documentary that Peter Jackson did this year. And so I added it to my top 10 on Letterboxd from 2021, just what happens. So, you try your best. But I do, again, I saw Origin. That was the one I really wanted to check out before. I want to see Society of the Snow. That's the one I want to see.
When does that come out again? Is that soon?
December 30th on Netflix, I think. It's right at the end.
Okay.
So that's the one I want to catch.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we'll do all our personal awards soon after that, and of course, there's plenty of. There's gonna be SAG nominations, DGA, PGA, all at the beginning of January.
Emmys.
We'll have a special Emmy episode, sometime in January before I forget even what day the Emmys are, but sometime before they happen, we'll have an Emmys episode. And then I think Oscar nominations are like middle of January, so we'll have all that going on, and it's more. All within like the month, so busy time around these parts. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Oh, here we go. These are the examples of recent.
Thank you.
That has happened. Not super common, but happened semi-recently.
Oppenheimer would make sense on that list. I'm just saying.
It would for sure. It's pretty strong. But yeah.
Wait, can you pull that list back up real quick? Sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, I'm gonna just use the first 4 because then Slumdog hurt a lot. Well, all right, Slumdog 2008. I wasn't, that's kind of before. I feel like as we've talked about, I think before on the show, you got to, as far as Oscar punditry, you got to look at post Dark Knight because that's really when the Oscars changed. Speaking of Nolan, so
preferential ballot. Yeah.
Dog Millionaire was the year Dark Knight was omitted in Best Picture. Everything Everywhere was a surprise. It was not the leading contender from the beginning. That was, I guess, Fabelmans. Parasite, no, that was Irishman or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Birdman, no, that was Boyhood. King's Speech, no, that was Social Network. Hurt Locker, no, that was Avatar. All of these movies surprised, and there was so much love. It was like Coda in a way. That it was like, oh my God, I love these movies. Any place I want to award it, I'm going to award it. That could be the difference with Oppenheimer. That like Nomadland, it has enough time for people to realize we love this movie. We're giving it these categories. Let's go somewhere else. That's what I'll say to that. So thank you, Black Toad.
Yeah. So I think it'll still at least get director. I think it's still my number one in picture, and then I think I have American Fiction winning screenplay right now because I don't think Oppenheimer is going to get all three, but it easily could. Yeah, I think it's down to those two, and probably if Barbie ends up in adapted, I could see that winning too. And
I hope. Please, I want Barbie to win the screenplay.
That would be one of the best moments of the night. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach.
If Christopher Nolan, if Robert Downey Jr., and Billie Eilish and Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach all win Oscars the same night, I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah. Good night. Good night. I will be happy if Charles Melton wins. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm rooting for. Well, I'd also love to see Sandra Hüller win, but that's never going to happen. So
Emma Stone winning would also be nice. But I also think if Lily Gladstone wins that award, I'm going to be very happy. That's going to be a very important win. I think a win that she definitely deserves.
And it's a win for subtle performances, which I love. The
Oscars your ocular acting that you love.
Your ocular acting, yes. This Cillian Murphy would also fit in that category. And
I think because I'm like, if Cooper wins, Giamatti wins. Honestly, the way that category is shaping up, that could be I could be happy with
it. It's going to be, I think, one of the more interesting acting races, I think. A supporting actress, it's, I think, going to be Divine. I feel like, maybe Daniel Brooks, but I feel pretty...
Purple.
I know, but I don't know. That movie doesn't seem too strong to me right now. We'll see, though. If it gets into picture, I think I might switch.
Dreamgirls was the best picture frontrunner. It came out, it underperformed, but Jennifer Hudson still won. I think there's a path for Danielle, even if she doesn't.
She's definitely my number 2, but I think Divine of the acting categories probably seems the most safe right now.
Yeah.
And then actor and actress are going to be interesting. And supporting actor will be interesting too, because I think it'll probably be Downey, but I still haven't
ruled out Emily Blunt too. I still think she could surprise at SAG and BAFTA and ride that all the way to the
because she won SAG for A Quiet Place, so they like her. So yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, we've turned this into a December update.
Yeah, we'll have a December update, maybe, hopefully. But I don't think anything. I think lots of people in most of the categories have very similar predictions, like only 1 or 2 off. So if you look at like anyone's predictions, ours are probably very similar, besides subtract or add 1. So,
America Ferrera or Jodie Foster.
Or Rosamund Pike. No, I don't have her.
But I love Saltburn, but that's not happening.
She could get BAFTA, though. She could get BAFTA, and then it's Gold Globe and BAFTA.
Just like I'm in the Oscar.
No, I don't think so.
I love you. I love the movie. It's not happening.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, we'll be talking about or this in my wildest dreams, Rachel McAdams. Maybe.
Wildest dreams.
Yeah, it's an original song. Yeah, I think if she gets in that SAG, maybe, but I think the Miss Ad Critics' Choice
will be the type of movie Oscar voters watch, unfortunately.
No. But unless we start, as me and Black Toad were talking about, a To Leslie campaign for Rachel McAdams and Are You There, Goddess Me, Margaret.
That is never happening again. It will never happen again.
She has the connections to do it. Get like the Mean Girls cast. Get
all the
Ryan
people
Gosling.
That they interview in Mean Girls. I heard.
Yeah.
She was she was shooting a Japanese commercial.
Yeah. I'm probably not gonna happen, but I would love it. But I think that's where we're gonna end this week. As we just went over pretty much everything we have coming up. We'll also have reviews for the final films of the year. All that stuff. Where can they find you on the internet, Anthony?
On the internet, you can find me at Anthony_post on Twitter and Letterboxd.
Awesome. So yes, thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and we will see you in whatever video comes out next, whether it's a live stream or whatever else it is. So
Happy holidays, everybody.
then, yes, have a great Christmas.
Thank you
Goodbye.
all.
There we go.